Let's begin by queering up the USA view. Major new study shows why DeSantis and GOP must pursue Don't Say Gay for their own survival. Ignite, one of America's most important organizations that studies Gen Z America, has published a comprehensive new study on what Gen Zers are passionate about. And the news is not good for DeSantis, Moms for Liberty, Fox News, and really the whole entire GOP. The survey pulls back the curtain on what the entire radical anti-LGBTQ plus youth, trans, and drag queen culture war is all about: power and control, and their loss of it in coming years.
The survey shows the dramatic increases Gen Z has in being gender fluid and non-binary identification. We have reported at Queer News Tonight the nature of white, older men making political decisions across America that are at the heart of anti-LGBTQ plus policies. Ignite even reports that not only is a non-white population growing, even the identification of being white is a dramatic Gen Z trend.
If survey results are considered carefully, this could explain what is behind this new post-Trump approach that we have witnessed in some state houses and from some governors' mansions. Here are some important highlights.
Gen Zers are more sexually diverse, as 40% are LGBTQ+, while survey aligns with the general acceptance of 6 to 7% as being homosexual. The study found as many as 40% identify as LGBTQ++. This is largely because of being sexually active with both men and women, bisexuals being 3 to 4 times more reporting than gay or lesbian.
Gen Zers are also more race diverse and less white. The survey found as many as 71% identify in a category other than white. It did not mean that they were not white, but preferred not to be identified as exclusively white.
Gen Zers are more politically independent and are not conservative. 30% of participants identified as independent versus the 2 major political parties. Of those that did, 49% identified as Democratic and only 21% as Republican. That means 79% of Gen Zers did not identify in the party of Ron DeSantis or the GOP. For Gen Z women, the numbers were even worse for conservatives. 86% identified as Democratic or Independent, and only 3% identified as Republican.
Gen Zers are going to vote? A very important question was whether Gen Z will get out and vote. The survey says yes. Whew. First, since 2020, the highest new registrations in America of any group is Gen Z. This is the first time they've eclipsed the baby boomers since 2000. Registrations are 17% higher than the general population.
Gen Zers are also going to affect the 2024 election. 63% say they are absolutely certain or likely to vote in 2024. Among Gen Z women, it increased to 77%. This is overall 15% higher than their peers.
Majority of Gen Z for the first time get political news from social media. Other significant results find that for the first time ever, more than 50% say they get their news from social media rather than TV, print, or radio. Gen Zers are worried about misinformation, as 69% say it's hard to get accurate political information.
The big issues for Gen Z are not DeSantis GOP issues. Top issues for Gen Z are guns, mass shootings, 77%, mental health, 64%, healthcare, 62%, climate change, 58%, and abortion protection, 56%. None of these issues appear in conservative Republican voters' top 5, and none of the culture war, DeSantis GOP issues appear in Gen Zers' top 10.
It appears the results help explain why Governor DeSantis, state houses, Moms for Liberties, and Fox News concentrate on Don't Say Gay, book bans, trans, healthcare, and bathrooms, drag queens, and other anti-LGBTQ plus issues. Our youngest voters in America are identifying as more queer or queer supporting, less white, more independent or progressive, more likely to vote, and caring about issues these conservative voices reject all day. It seems the survey suggests why this trend must be stopped at all costs. DeSantis and the GOP future depends on it. You can see the full survey at ignitenational.org. So Gen Zers, they're going to save our life. I mean, they're going to vote. They care about abortion. They want to deal with gun control, right? I mean, they're 86% Democrats. So I'm going to go to Scott first. Scott, are they going to save our future? Is there, I mean, this has given me a little bit of light in like I'm used to all the darkness that we, have to inform people about.
Yeah, no, it's still going to be the same. They're going to vote as liberals while they're young, and then as they get older and they have money and they have property and they have kids, their values will become more conservative. It's been like that in the United States as long as there's been a United States.
Like you mean like the hippies from the 60s, right? We expected them to grow up and like support LGBTQ and women and abortion and all that, and they didn't.
And it's those hippies that are amongst the most conservative
Really?
American leadership.
Wow.
Now, think about it. White people, since we're talking about us right now, white people of a certain age who are super conservative, where were they in the 60s and 70s? They were the hippies.
That's right.
So it's just tradition. When you're young, you're anti-establishment, you're rebellious by nature, you know it better than anybody who's over the age of, what was the book from the
30.
1960s?
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone over the age of 30.
Right.
They believe it wholeheartedly that they are the difference and will be the change, but
So did them back then, right?
let's check back in when they've got 8-year-old kids running around and they're worried about whether or not they have money to pay their school tuition.
You know, you broke my heart right now. I'm just telling you, you broke my heart.
I'm all about doing
You're all about breaking my heart. I see. Okay. I thought there was light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. With that, I'm going to go over to elimination because there's a lot of points of people making sure that when they filled out this survey, they put not white.
Right.
Right?
And, yes.
Okay.
And so I'm going to hold on to hope. My heart cracked a little. You haven't gotten rid of it, but I'm going to keep hope alive. And so I think that our Gen Zers now are being more authentically themselves. They're finding out who they are. They're finding out what they are. They're looking to say, who am I and why? What makes all of this me? And I think that they're becoming more educated. And so because they're exposing themselves to a variety of different things and say, hey, that is also me. That is also me. It is my hope that they will continue to live that lifestyle and continue to say that I am this. Additionally, I think that surveyors are also now asking other people. Because, back in the day, the survey was only predicted to or talked to a segment of folks.
The white people.
Those people. And so now they now have to include others to get a true answer of what's about to happen. And so their fear is now they're asking others. And so now those people are now telling the truth. And I think that we are going to see a little bit of a change. I think that those folks will continue to vote. My only fear, again, is that once they start having children, they will still remember them young selves and want better for their young people.
And a lot more people are out than they were back in the 60s as well. And, we think about surveys that have come since the 60s that where gay wasn't even included.
Right.
And I think that that's also why the numbers are so high. Cal, what's your take on all this stuff?
Yeah, definitely think, there is some hope that's in there, especially with all of the new diversity, equity, and inclusion that we have going on.
Which is you. That is your
workplaces.
specialty.
Yeah, I'm able to work with organizations every day on diversifying their policies and making more inclusive communications to their employees. So I think there's definitely a change in that aspect that's taking place. And I'm really hoping that the Gen Zers who are coming out of high school now and going into college and getting ready to vote, they're the ones that's going to champion us to actual real change.
And what are the Gen Zers are born in the 1990s to the 2000s, something like that? Does that sound right?
So
Yeah.
Okay, too young for us to date. What were you going to say, Scott?
Yeah, no, well, if they were going to set the world on fire and change the world, where were they in the Miami Beach elections, for instance, just last week, where voter turnout was abhorrent, and there was not a flood of young, altruistic Gen Zers at the polls changing this?
Yeah.
Where were they on Friday nights? And they're at the same bars and clubs that we were at when we were that age. They're doing the exact same thing. They just don't realize it. And, I just hold hope that they're going to turn out enough to get that old white guy reelected president,
Right.
2024, because the likelihood is that they're so altruistic in what they say they believe that they're going to say, well,
Why bother?
Biden's not good enough. I'm not going to vote for him, and they're going to end up with worse in the end of it. So I'm holding out hope. At least some of them are altruistic enough to still turn out and vote. I was pleased to see this statistic in there that mentioned that abortion rights And women,
Women.
I think I have more faith in female voters to turn out and be solid difference makers, whether they're, Republican, Independent, Democrat. That's an issue that might actually be able to save the day for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, because men should not have a say over women's bodies, and that's
Never.
the final
Should
thing.
not.
That's it. Greg, please.
Well, if I had a middle name, it would be pessimist. But
Okay.
I'm hoping that Gen Z does their part and they get out there and they vote in every election. Then they have the potential to make a difference in the future of the future of the country as well as the planet. As long as flaming ex-gay Speaker of the House Mike Johnson doesn't start that holy war and inquisition he's been so excited about planning, then real change is a possibility.
Oh my God.